Good morning. So, as you said, my name is Nicolas Strumane. I'm from Global Manufacturing Volvo Buses, and I'm responsible for operational excellence there. And first of all, I think my presentation will be very complementary to these two gentlemen, because I will not specifically talk about smart manufacturing. I will not specifically talk about digitalization, Internet 4.0, etc. No, I would like to go back to one of the basics in manufacturing, and that is actually the people. I mean, how do people work together, etc. So this is, of course, extremely important to manufacturing. And how they work together is also what we call processes. So I would like to share today with you how we share operational excellence and flexibility in our manufacturing operations in India. But before doing that, I would like to introduce you to the operations that we have in India and the history behind that. First of all, you see here, this is our plant, our bus plant in Hoskote, close to Bangalore, which has a technical capacity of 1,500 buses per year. And we have approximately 850 employees only in the industrial area. And we started our operations in India in 2001, first by having only the assembly of chassis in the truck plant. And we were cooperating with an external bodybuilder, which was called Jaiko at that time. Then in 2007, we started to build our own bus factory, just next to the truck factory, with a capacity of 1,000 vehicles. And we had our first bus rolled out in January 2009, complete bus. And during 2010, 2012, we started to implement also our Volvo production system into the plant, which is our lean approach towards manufacturing. And then in 2012, 2013, we expanded our factory to 1,500 vehicles capacity. So a short history. Now, how can a global company like Volvo be successful in India? For that, I'm definitely convinced that you need to combine operational excellence and flexibility with customization of global processes. It's probably not the case in all industries, but specifically in our industry, you cannot copy and paste processes from a Western company into India. It will not function. And for that, I would like to go into a certain area as some kind of a case study to explain this to you. Here we have what we call the level 1 order to delivery process in Volvo buses. So you have, when an order comes in, you need to plan and follow up the order, you need to supply the material, you need then to produce what we call in Volvo buses a green OK vehicle, and distribute and hand over the vehicle to a customer. This is on level 1. Behind each level 1 process, you have, of course, level 2, level 3, level 4 processes, which are describing in the processes, but much more in detail. Now, don't copy this when you go into India, especially in our industry. What were the success factors for Volvo buses here in this case? Where we found, I think, a good combination between the use of global processes, but also customizing towards local processes. So India is a very dynamic market, as you know. We have very demanding customers. You can say in the bus industry, you cannot say that an Indian customer has the same type of demands as a Swedish customer or a German customer. So each market has his specific requirements. So by this, a customer is quite demanding, also in India. We have, of course, also the different requirements from the different states, from the different transport authorities, etc. We also have growing competition, local as well as some of the Western manufacturers. And we have also a high level of what we call customer adaptation of the product. You cannot buy a standard bus. It's always adapted towards the customer's requirements. So what happens if you look into the order to delivery process? It starts actually approximately 14 weeks before we start to produce a bus in the factory in Bangalore. We need to order chassis components, and this ordering of chassis components is purely based on forecasting in a very dynamic market. So for that, we need to have very realistic and accurate, what we call sales and operation planning process. We have to have a very close cooperation with the local sales team. And we need to also do a periodic review of the status through what we call a program meeting. So here you already see a combination of local and global processes. The SNOP, the Sales and Operation Planning process, is a global process. The program meeting is a global process, but we need to be very close to the local sales team. And then we come to week 0, and this is very specific to India. We say week 0, that's when, in a lot of cases, we get the order, which means the same week or 1 week before we need to start to produce the bus, we get the order, knowing that we have very high level of customer adaptations. And this is very specific to India. If you compare it to Europe, we are talking about 9 to 10 weeks in average. Here we talk about less than 1 week between an order and we need to start to produce. Which means that in week 1, we have done the laydown of the bus in the production line, and for that, we must have very close design and purchasing support. So you need to have a domestic purchasing and a domestic design department, preferably inside the factory. We also have to have an optimized inventory planning. With 1 week lead time to start production, you need, of course, to have inventory, material in the warehouse, but you cannot, of course, have too much capital tied up. You also need to strive into having domestic and close proximity suppliers because of this very short lead times. The logistic process is obvious, has to be very lean and flexible. We also have to have a very flexible production line because one day you can produce that bus and the next day it can be another type of bus. And as I mentioned also, very short lead time for customer adaptation design. Then we need to produce the bus, takes 18 days approximately at 4-hour takt time, so that at week 4 the bus is ready so that we can deliver the bus to a customer in week 5. Now when we produce the bus, our workforce must also be multi-skilled because of the different products we produce, the change of the specification, customer adaptations, design solution that sometimes we have to test it on the line. That means also that we have to have very good cross-functional cooperation. And some of the purely production processes are then also locally adapted, as we have domestic suppliers and we have other lead times. So now, this journey is not finished. We need to continue. I mean, as I said, India is a very dynamic market, very tough customers. We are starting also to export our products, etc. So we will have to constantly be vigilant to adapt our processes to the market needs and the competition. Thank you.